Now, you mentioned you were focusing a lot on like the cultural aspect of it early on, I guess, at the University of Texas. Do you find that vary? I mean, I assume it would culture to culture, but do you find that it varies, you know, depending on which country you're in, or do you find it goes as more micro as the actual individual state? For instance, Texas culture is widely, vastly different than, you know, New York or if you go to California, for instance. Do you find that it differs state to state?
It does. And even if you break it down, if you look at culture and its influence, you can actually break it down to individual families. Each individual family interprets culture in their unique way because they have to adapt and they have to make it work for them, given what the community gives them as to what is the meaning of our culture. You know, what is religion? What part does religion play into our family life? What do we do with language? How do we use it? And all those factors play into the development of the brain and the mind. And so each individual family unit, and then of course you can break it all down and also into the individual herself or himself, applies those principles in a unique way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And did you get into any in-depth study of, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with morphic resonance. So for instance, Rupert Sheldrake is a researcher of morphic resonance. And for instance, kind of tying in with the family and the culture aspect of things, it can carry over generation to generation, certain behavioral traits, tendencies, things like that. Do you find that remains true today? And I know you mentioned religion. That would be one of the main influential factors of just people's upbringing for the past, 50, 100 years. Do you think that there's something that's starting to, I suppose, supplement religion in a way, or at least just becoming more predominantly an influential factor in the cultural development of people in today's society? And do you find that morphic resonance plays a role in that? And even considering the fact that the religious culture would still be rolling over and carrying over from previous generations. So there's, it almost kind of thinks like it's butting heads in a way, where you have this old way of thinking kind of mishmashing with these new technologies, these new emerging concepts that are being introduced to people through the internet and through conversations such as we're having here. So what's your take on that, just the evolution of things?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the morphic resonance work, but in recent years, there's been an emphasis on genetics. So from genetics, and you probably know this, the idea of epigenetics has come in recently to where it's showing that the experience of the previous generations is being carried on into our current behavioral makeup. So that means whatever my parents, my grandparents went through, I'm inheriting some of that residue genetically. And so it's impacting on the way I'm going to react to my current environment as far as language, stress, social situations. It's going to impact the way I see those things and the way I react to them. And certainly from the point of view of Jungian psychology, one of the main ideas that he emphasized was that regardless of our technological development, we are still spiritual beings and have that religious instinct in us. And it's going to come out some way or another, whether it's stifled or not by the current social situation, which tends to dismiss it or repress it. It's going to come out somehow. It's going to demand a little bit of attention. And I think the way it's been coming out is you certainly see a lot of the ideas about New Age, ideas about spirituality. Yoga has come into play in the West a lot. But it's not, let's say it's not culturally integrated as well as it could be. And so it's definitely playing a big role in the way human beings have been developing and relating to technology. And then, of course, neurologically, we know that looking at screens for long periods of time is going to change the brain structure and the way the mind functions. It's because it is a brain and environment interaction that creates the human being. As far as whether that's good or bad, we still don't know.